Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates for only like $5 a month. Also, check out the third wave of the third wave merchandise, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So right now, what's happening is going to be very important next week because as you can see, we finally got above the moving average right here on the weekly, and right now we are retesting it. I told you we will do something like this a couple of days ago, actually a couple of weeks ago, and we are finally doing it. And if this week we close below this, and if we close below the moving average, it could be a very bad sign because that could actually give us another low right here, or even some type of triple bottom, or maybe a higher low right here that puts us back in the 50-cent region. And people don't want to see that, obviously, but it's possible if we do not close above the moving average. However, if we do close above it, then I'm expecting the market to do something like it did over here. As you can see right here, we actually slightly got below it, and then that gave us a nice pump, which, you know, did this move to the upside. This was a 300% move to the upside. And this is what I'm waiting for right now. I've been talking about this for many weeks, probably months at this point. I mean, we tried doing it over here, and as you can see, it was not really a successful move. So what we need to do now, like I said, is to stay above it. And if we do, then next week will actually be very, very bullish. Now, people still ask me if it's possible for Cardano to get to its previous all-time highs by the end of the second week of June, because, you know, I kept saying that a couple of weeks ago, probably even a couple of months ago, and, well, it is still possible, obviously. However, you have to keep in mind, if that does not happen, it does not mean that my prediction, you know, of Cardano getting to $5 to $8 is no longer going to be valid. It only means that it's going to happen a bit later in the cycle, and obviously I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't really know when the market will go up. I just know that at some point it will go up, and, well, I'm still waiting for it. I mean, as you know, the pattern that we have on the chart, this 1-2-1-2 setup happened again in this cycle. It's the exact same 1-2-1-2 setup, so we're just waiting for the cross on the bull market support band. And why is it that not important if we actually get to the all-time highs by the end of the second week of June? Because Bitcoin seems to be doing something entirely different compared to what it did in the previous three cycles. I mean, yes, it did drop right here, and it did drop like 40% in the second week of June in 2017, but you have to keep in mind, before that it was actually going up quite a lot, and it was above its previous all-time highs. And if you look at 2013, I mean, here it was doing the exact same thing. Before we actually had this big move to the downside, it was going to new all-time highs, and even last cycle, I mean, here it broke all-time highs, and then it actually went into the summer drop, which actually leads me to believe that if we get the summer drop, it's only going to happen after we finish the main third wave. And, well, it makes sense because if you look at the weekly chart, and I've been talking about the weekly chart on the Bitcoin chart for many months now, probably a year, almost a year at this point. And if you look at the weekly chart, we reacted to these exact same RSI levels every single time. And I'm gonna have to remind you what happened here in case you have not watched any of my other videos, and I have not talked about this in quite a long time. So basically, the pattern that we have right now, it happens every single year, and people don't seem to realize that. So here, for example, we went up and then we went down. This was a 22% drop. And I mean, when we went down to about 25K, then we went up for about 6 months, and then that gave us this top, and then we proceeded to go down for about 147 days, and the next low was 50K. Now, after that, we went up for another 6 months if we actually take the B wave high and not this right here. And then after we went up like 6 months, we went down again, and that put us at 75K, meaning that if we continue this pattern, the next low will most likely be 100K. Now, in order to actually get a low that is at 100K to continue the pattern, we would have to drop at least like 20 or 30%, because that's exactly what we did, you know, so far in this cycle. Every single time we had a correction. So we had 3 major corrections, and I think the 4th one will still happen during the summer, but I just don't know when. I just know that it will most likely happen after we finish the main third wave up. So if it does not happen in the second week of June, and if that prediction turns out to be wrong, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's still gonna get to all-time highs extremely soon, at least in my opinion. I mean, it looks like a normal cycle, and we're above the moving average on the weekly weekly. By the way, we are also above the moving average on the monthly chart, which is extremely bullish, and I've been talking about this for a long time as well. But basically in the previous cycle, when we got below the moving average on the monthly chart, that pretty much confirmed that the bear market started. I mean, even if we look at 2017, that also confirmed that the bear market started only after breaking below the moving average on the monthly chart. That tells us that we're in a bear market. And if we look at 2013, it's the exact same thing over and over again, and people don't want to seem to realize that. But yeah, once we break below that, then the bear market, has started. And in this cycle, we broke below it. However, we got back above it, meaning that the bear market is still, not here, and we're most likely going higher. Now, I do want to talk about what Bitcoin is doing, and I am aware of the fact that this is a Cardano video, but honestly, there's not much to talk about, so I'm just going to talk about Bitcoin for a second. Bitcoin, as you can see, has cooled off on the RSI quite a lot, and even though, the price did not really do anything, the RSI went from being overbought right here when we were at $95,000 to now being at like 55, even though we're at like $105,000. So the price is in an uptrend and the RSI is in a downtrend, and this is usually a very good sign. And I've been talking about the cross on the bull market support band for quite a long time at this point, but we're still waiting for that. And please do not forget, if we do get a cross, then Bitcoin will most likely get a pump, instantly, because that's exactly what happened over here, and that's exactly what happened, I believe, over here. So once we actually get a cross, that usually gives us an instant pump on the Bitcoin chart. And please do not forget, here, before we had the cross, we had a correction, and then, then we went up again. That gave us this high, and then we had another correction, and then that broke the all-time highs. And right now, we'll most likely do the exact same thing. Maybe in this, pattern right here, we are already doing what we did over here, and right now we're just waiting for the cross. I don't know, but I think that at some point, Bitcoin will do this, and we will get to all-time highs. Still, probably by the end of the second week of June, if I had to guess, or maybe even by the end of May. But, so far, I mean, right now it's May 20th, so we still have like 11 days left. And it's definitely possible for Bitcoin to do that, in my opinion, and still finish its main third wave between $126,000 and $157,000. So we're waiting for that. Now I want to talk about Ethereum as well. Ethereum is also looking pretty good. As you can see, it had a reaction to the bull market support band. It stayed above it. Also, we're waiting for a cross right here as well. Now we did get rejected by the 200-day moving average, so it's going to be very important to get above it next week. And speaking of next week, I mean, this week is probably going to be very, very boring, just because most of the altcoins need to retest their moving averages on the weekly chart. I mean, if you look at VeChain, for example, it's almost at the moving average. If you look at ICP, it's at the moving average. If you look at Near Protocol, it's at the moving average. If you look at Doge, exact same story. Even AVAX, even HBAR, and even Algo, and even Ando, and yeah, all of them are doing the exact same thing, and even ADA, by the way. And yeah, like I told you, if we do not stay above this, then that could actually give us another move to the downside, or maybe we actually close below it like we did right here. But we don't really close below it that much. I mean, we still stay close to the moving average, and then the following week we have this move to the upside. So next week is going to be very important. I think we're going to get a major move, and I don't know in which direction, but it doesn't really matter, because even if we go down right now, and I told you this many times, even if we drop back to 50 cents, then we're going to have a cross even sooner, and that cross is most likely going to do this right here. And I think the third wave target is still extremely realistic, and well, that's all you need to know about that. And I mean, Cardano is still looking fine. There's not much else to know. I mean, yes, I could talk about the S&P 500 if you want to. I mean, the S&P 500 is back above the bull market support band, and this is usually a good sign because, well, here, for example, when it broke below the bull market support band, that gave us a bear market, and we never really got above the bull market support band again. But in this cycle, we did break below it, but right now we're back above it. We're even above the 200-day moving average, which leads me to believe that this will break its all-time highs soon as well. And if that happens, then Bitcoin will also break its all-time highs, and well, the rest will be history. I think Bitcoin being at $250,000 by the end of the cycle is still extremely realistic, and Cardano being somewhere between $5 to $8 is also probably very realistic. And well, I mean, right now we're waiting for Bitcoin dominance to finally break down. As you can see, we actually have a reaction to the bull market support band, which is not great. However, here we're going to have a cross, and the red line is about to go above the green line, which is usually a good sign for the altcoins, not for Bitcoin dominance. And if we actually get a cross, soon, then that would give us a break below the bull market support band. Now I still want to see a break below the 200-day moving average as well, and then below this resistance level right here, which actually acted as support back in February, and then a break at least to the 0.236 extension right here of the low and the high. And if we get to about 57.82%, then I'm gonna go ahead and say that the bear market for the Bitcoin dominance chart has pretty much started, and well, I'm still expecting it to drop to like 40%. So if it does it right now, or if it does it in like a month or like 2 months, if it starts that move even in like 3 months, it's still gonna be fine, because I still think it's gonna be like at like 40% by January of next year. So it doesn't really matter what happens right now. It only matters that it's gonna, start dropping at some point. And people keep asking me if we're still gonna get the altcoin season, and these people obviously have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, an altcoin season happens every single cycle, and yes, we did not have one yet in this cycle, but that's only because Bitcoin dominance kept going higher. If it keeps going higher, it does not mean that it's not gonna drop at some point. I mean, things cannot really go up forever, and people seem to forget that, or they actually have no idea what Bitcoin dominance even is, and they watch my videos and they hope that I say that Cardano will be at like $50 by the end of next week, because that's what they want to hear. But I'm not gonna tell you what you want to hear. I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear, and that is that if we actually stay above the bull market support band on the Bitcoin dominance chart, we could even get another cycle high right here before we get the big correction. So please be aware of that. And yes, the altcoin season will still happen, in my opinion. I mean, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because Bitcoin dominance will have to get a correction like it always does. So when that happens, Cardano will most likely finally get that move that we're waiting for. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our daily Discord updates for only like $5 a month.